So, being that every moment as a Jehovah's Witness is considered a confessional experience, being that you're supposed to tell the truth at all times and go to the right people with the truth, what are some various punishments you see for different infractions?
That is up to the elders. They decide what is very serious and what is not very serious. So maybe you get a slap on the wrist, or maybe you get kicked out of the kingdom hall and excommunicated for the way that you believe.
They'll kick you out of your kingdom hall?
Yeah. They can tell you, you can come here if you show repent, or you cannot come at all. But if you do come, everyone else is taught to ignore you, not say a word to you. You have to sit in the back row. You have to still look like a Jehovah's Witness, meaning white shirt. Well, it didn't really matter what color shirt. You had to have a button up on, you had to have a tie on, and dress pants and dress shoes. You walk in, you go to the back row, you say nothing to nobody, and then you walk out, and that's your punishment, is getting cut off like that. So they will rub your nose in it for as long as they see fit. If it's that bad, if it's even worse than that bad, then you disappear.
What do they call it when you get in that kind of trouble?
Well, you can be reproved, so they slowly take away what is told to you to be rights when you're baptized. So if you're reproved, you can't go door to door. You can't answer at the Kingdom Hall Sunday meetings when they're going over the Watchtower magazine to make sure that you studied it correctly to go door to door. You can't. Basically, they come out and they make an announcement and they say, so-and-so has been reproved. Now, this is the least thing that can happen to you. And then everyone looks at you as, now, let's not talk to him, because you don't want to get seen talking to someone that's reproved. The next one is getting disfellowshipped. That's when they tell you, you cannot have communication with anybody in that kingdom hall, but you can come to the meetings. If you go to the meetings and you show repent, then that's what you can do. Or you get excommunicated altogether, and they basically tell you not to come back. But when that happens, it's either the person wants nothing to do with it, they figure out, why am I even doing this? Or they're really bad, and the Kingdom Hall helps them relocate somewhere else.
What is the return rate?
There's different return rates for everything. When you get disfellowshipped, usually you will not go to meetings. From what I've seen, they tend to not go to the meetings for a while. They find out that there's a world out there full of not so terrible people, and maybe they move on in life and they realize that that wasn't for them, or their families make them feel so obligated to go and be repentful for what you did, and you go and you be a pretend one, but you don't talk to anyone. So there's all sorts of different levels, and people coming back, I've seen it, I think, once, and that's because that person's entire family was entangled in the teachings of that organization.
They came back from being...
They got disfellowshipped, and they decided to go to the meetings, go to the back row, hang their head in shame while everyone else knew why they were there, but that person had to continuously be reminded why they were sitting in the back row, which they probably didn't even do anything to begin with. It's all a big show for everyone, and that person probably needs therapy after going through that.
So the return rate for disfellowshipment is quite low, but before being disfellowshipped, you're being reproved, and I presume that people mostly come back from being reproved?
Yes, because people can still talk to you. You're still in some sort of standing, whatever that even means, but you can still talk to people. And as long as you're showing that you're repentful for what you did, then you're answering at some of the meetings or being able to lead field service. Those responsibilities or obligations or things that they treat as a great thing for you to be doing get given back to you.
When people are disfellowshipped, do they just slowly fade away? Is it kind of all at once, being as that return rate's so low?
From what I've seen, a lot of people that get disfellowshipped either stay disfellowshipped and go and live a life, or they go and live a life, get hopeless because something happens. I don't know, maybe they go through a breakup or they're going through a hard time and they're like, I want everything back. Then they turn their life around and go back to the Jehovah's Witnesses because that was the only sense of family that they had, whether it be blood or not blood. A lot of people will miss it, and years later, they want to be connected. They want to belong somewhere, so they will go back. So
disfellowship members will have a huge gap in their...
Yes.
Then does that increase the return rate in some way?
No. It's not that many that you see that happen. It's like when someone does something different, people are more apt to talk about it. So you're going to think, oh, this person's coming back after this many years, and it's looked at as a great thing because everybody returns back to God. They saw the light. They came back. It doesn't change the rate. It just means it's more talked about.
What is the smallest infraction you've seen?
Small. Attending a holiday party. Not me personally when I was one, but I saw someone get reproved for that. I saw that smoking cigarettes was one of them. I mean, you know what? The smallest infraction I've ever seen was you can only get infractions if you are baptized. So the smallest one I've ever seen is actually someone who hadn't gone door to door for 3 months in a row, then has a meeting, has a shepherding call with the elders, and they're like, why haven't you been so that makes you that turns you inactive. There is another level. I forgot about that until now. I apologize. So there's inactive, and people will look at them and say, oh, they're inactive, that family. They don't go to every meeting. So that's the smallest amount of judgment that I see. The whole thing is judgmental.
And that results in reproval. Inactive results in reproval?
If you continue to be inactive. If you decide that you want to not be inactive because you want a group of however many people that know you and your family to like you, then you go door to door. And you can put 2 hours on your field service slip, and you will not get reproved. It just shows you as active at that point. But if you put 0 for 3 months in a row, you are considered inactive.
And how does somebody come back from being reproved?
You need to show that, you need to pretend to show, or you need to show that you're sorry for what you've done. Somehow, by going to everything you could possibly do. This part I don't understand, because I was reproved for the same thing with the same person, and I did the same things as that person. But because that person had a different last name than me, just like their family, they became active and unreproved 3 months faster than me. So who made that judgment call? I'm actually really glad that happened, because it showed me a lot of truth.
Have you ever had any of your family members be reproved?
Nope, just me.
Did they ever talk to you about reproval or disfellowshipment? before anything had happened to you?
Oh, I knew. I knew that that was the teachings for someone that had done something wrong.
Did you learn that at a Kingdom Hall meeting or from them directly?
All of their teachings are, you have a Bible study once a week before you even get baptized for however long you need until you're ready to get baptized and you're ready to go door to door. So that's a very hard question to answer.
When you saw people hang their heads in shame during reproval or during disfellowshipment, did you believe it?
I believed it in a very sad kind of way. Not to be sad or negative about it, but I saw a human being that was being forced to feel some sort of way because of the people surrounding them, the people that were in their life. They made this person feel that way, and that person didn't need to feel that way. So I did see it, but I just saw someone who was manipulated into feeling sad. I felt bad for them, and that's why I always talked to people that were not in good standing, because they didn't realize that there's no reason that they were not in good standing according to everybody else. They ended up being some of the nicest people I ever talked to. Very real.
So you are curious about people who were...
Yeah, I want to know what put them in that standing. What did they say? What did they do that went against the teachings? What did they do? Most likely it was nothing, and they ended up being good people.
So you were reproved once,
Oh yeah.
but reinstated?
I did manage to get myself reinstated, yes.
You said it took you longer.
Took me longer than the other brother that got reproved at the same time as me. Took me longer because they said that I didn't show enough remorse. Because I still wasn't sorry for what I did, they kept me reproved. And I didn't understand why I needed to feel sorry for what I did, because I really didn't do anything but protect people I love and a family member. So I didn't understand, and I kept saying that, and then I realized, why don't I just act like I'm really sorry about it and I'll never do it again? Just tell them what they want to hear, right? And then I came back.
So then you were just encouraged to say whatever you thought they wanted to hear.
Correct. Always, that's just what you do.
Do you think that makes Jehovah's Witnesses more paranoid as people?
I don't think it makes them more paranoid. I think it makes them more apt to be paranoid because they're vulnerable. And they always feel like everybody's watching them all the time.
If you're raised with that in mind, how can you trust anyone?
You don't. You can say you can trust your brothers and sisters and your elders, but you can't really trust them. My dad said something really funny to me a very long time ago, and it stuck in my head, and he said, you can't trust anybody but your mother and your wallet. And then I said, well, can I trust you? And he said, yeah, you can trust me. And it just stuck in my head like, well, I guess I can't trust him. Can't. And he was right. He actually gave good advice. He was correct.
After being reinstated from Reproval, did that experience taint your honesty?
At that point, I just kept my mouth shut. Went to meetings, went door to door. I learned to keep my mouth shut. And in the middle of that, then we moved. Yeah. we changed kingdom halls. So I was in good standing, we left, and yeah. Then I realized that the people that took me in the fastest were the people that were not in good standing. They were considered bad association. So that was how that whole thing happened.
So keeping your mouth shut was your answer to lying?
Keeping my mouth shut meant as long as I don't say anything, I can't get myself in trouble. Because last time I said something when something was wrong, I got myself in more trouble than the person doing something wrong. So, yeah, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. That's what it taught me.
Would you say the disillusionment to your faith was the moment you came back from Reproval?
It was that entire process that made me start to think about things differently, because I was fake. I was just doing what they wanted. So it did make me think a lot, and it started to make me question everything. I started to question everything. Why? Because if this whole pyramid that they have built is built on that one thing that didn't work, that's a big part of it. So that part was all fake. How much of this pyramid, how much of it is fake? And yeah, I just started questioning all of it, and then I realized that there was no pyramid, and the whole thing was, yeah. I won't get into my own.
So you don't think the disciplinary actions of the Jehovah's Witness faith are very effective?
I think they're effective in scaring people to act how someone else wants them to be.
But only up until the point that you're actually made to face those things, at least in your experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that make the elders boogeymen?
No, it doesn't make them boogeymen. It makes them robots. No, they're humans, yes, obviously. But the way that their brains are wired is very robotic, and every question has a correct response and a correct way to handle it. So not all of them are like that, and then the ones that aren't all like that tend to step down from being an elder. I've seen it only twice, but there are some that aren't so hardwired because of the teachings.
I recall the other one that you said where the person didn't want to be an elder. They said that they wouldn't do that, and then they kind of disappeared. Who's the other one?
That person was still a ministerial servant, and he had a lot going on in his family at the time, and he said, I do not want to be an elder.
So he backed out.
He just never accepted being an elder. So he never had to step down. He continued to be a ministerial servant until a lot of things happened in his family where he disappeared too. That's its own thing.
Does being disfellowshipped make somebody an apostate?
No. If you're disfellowshipped and you talk negatively about being a Jehovah's Witness or any of their teachings, that's what makes you an apostate. So you can go along and be disfellowshipped and still say, I believe that it's the truth. But if you go around afterwards and you are disfellowshipped and you say, this teaching isn't correct and all these people should know this and you should talk and you should know this, you have to know this. This is important. Before you make a leap to be a part of this cult, you need to know this. That's an apostate. Because now I'm talking negatively about the truth is what they teach. but I'm talking negatively about the whole teachings and the whole cult. That would make me an apostate. Do I want to be an apostate? No. But there are some important things that everyone should know before letting this be in your family.
You said that being baptized carries a lot of weight in how you're treated. What is it like being baptized as a Jehovah's Witness?
It just means that you've made your family proud. You've done what the males wanted you to do. You are now a step ahead of anybody that's not baptized. You're more godly. It changes your standing. You believe in it more because now you're baptized as one.
Is that fact apparent the moment you become baptized?
Yeah, you get a big celebration, all the friends and family. It depends how many people are getting baptized in that congregation on that day. So that's how the parties are split up. But yeah, you get super praise immediately. It's like, oh, he's baptized, he's okay. It's one of those.
What's everything leading up to being baptized?
A bunch of random meetings with elders asking you questions out of a book. And you just need to answer like a robot. You don't actually have to believe the answers. You just need to answer what they want to be the answers.
As that's your experience, what do you expect of the ones who actually believe things?
If they believe it, then, I guess they're getting baptized because they believe the teachings that much.
Do you think you could tell the difference?
Yeah. In someone who believes it or someone that doesn't?
When you were getting baptized?
No, I was too busy being corralled and doing all sorts of things to try to get baptized. So I didn't look at other people and say, oh, they shouldn't be getting baptized. No, I was on my own stress of, are they going to even let me get baptized? Like, oh man, I hope so.
So you were full on in it?
Yeah. I didn't know though. I didn't know that I was just, that I had to just read answers out of a book. My first meeting with them, I told them, it's one-on-one visits with the elders, so I believe there's 3 of them before you get baptized. The first meeting that I had, I didn't know that the answers were right there in small writing underneath the questions. So I actually answered honestly to a lot of them, and it kind of threw that elder off, and he was like, I've never heard, because he's used to hearing responses that are written down right underneath him, and he can just breeze through this. So now he's in a weird spot because I'm answering truthfully, but how do you even remember what I am saying to you unless he was recording it for a complete hour? Then I found out one of the elders said, oh, your first meeting didn't go so well. Hopefully, your next one goes well. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Oh, what do I got to do better? Look it up, figure it out, ask other people. Oh, Johnny, did you know the answers are right underneath there? You can highlight them, and that's all you got to read. You don't have to. It's just saying oaths.
So there's no personality to being baptized?
There can be. I think everyone just does it because they want to be in. They want to be looked at in a positive way. And that's not such a bad way to feel, but making people do that type of thing to be looked at in a positive way is kind of a big deal.
So being raised a Jehovah's Witness, you don't have a very individual experience to becoming baptized?
Just my first meeting. The one of the 3.
But everyone's is essentially what?
They just read the answers underneath the book.
Their motivation is?
They spun me immediately into knowing how to get baptized. I wouldn't have known to look at the answers underneath if one of the elders didn't say, I heard your first meeting didn't go so well. And I'm like, oh no, I really want to get baptized. What do I got to do to do that? And just read the answers right underneath it. Tiny lettering.
And you think that advice is given to everyone?
The people that probably should be baptized, or else So if I didn't get approved to be baptized, I might have myself fallen away because I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. Maybe that was how they knew I was going to feel. Maybe they wanted another baptized male. I shouldn't have been told that. I got told it twice. And because I got told that twice, I knew that, once again, whenever you have a meeting with elders or anybody, it's not just with them. They talk about things with other people. They tell your private information. I think if I'm having a meeting with an elder to get baptized into a certain religion or something like that, that it would only be between me and that priest or elder, or I don't think that that's public information, but I guess it is. So,
Do you think there's much difference between a male and female baptism experience?
it's really tough for me to answer that question because everybody has their own way of being, and I've come to the realization that not everyone has the best intentions for you as a person. So I've met a lot of men that might find being in a pool with a female in a white shirt somewhat more exciting than being with a male in a pool. So I've heard too many stories of people or people that were doing baptisms, elders that were doing it, they end up getting disfellowshipped, and they're just, I don't know.
When you're baptized, is it males and females together?
It's just a row of people, yeah. You get in line. You just get in line. It's usually at a convention. They do mass baptisms where they have a pool and they baptize everybody all at the same time. It's during lunch. No one's paying attention. And then they stopped it at this one location, to my knowledge. So I think I was one of the last people that had it in this weird jacuzzi hot tub thing that was built into where they had these meetings all the time. I think it was Natick, Mass. But yeah, I got in a weird jacuzzi that was lukewarm with a bunch of old dudes, and a bunch of other people watched me. I had a black shirt on because I thought that I was really overweight and I didn't want anyone to see me when I came out of the water. Because then you walk up out of the water and then you're like, your clothes are stuck to you, and I was a little husky. I was big bone. So I'm like, I'm wearing a black shirt. I don't care. I just like suctioned it off of me after. And I was like, okay, I guess I did it. I did the thing.
There's no uniform to being baptized?
You have to wear a bathing suit and a shirt. If you're female, you wear a bathing suit and then probably a shirt over a bathing suit, unless it's a one piece.
Did you find it strange at the time, or only in retrospect?
Absolutely found it strange in the time. Very uncomfortable. Something that I would never even want to be in. I hate public pools. I don't want to be in a pool with a bunch of random dudes that I don't know. No, thank you. I don't think anyone really does. Especially when you're a kid and you don't know who they are. I mean, luckily I came out from the water. I mean, that's a plus.
How old were you when you were baptized?
I was 12.
Do you think your further interest in getting baptized made your father proud or resentful of you?
It made him proud because it was his idea to become Jehovah's Witnesses. So in a way, it just made him feel like, see, he does believe it. That's why I was always encouraged, because if he made a decision that I supported, then I was on good terms with him.
Did you genuinely trust most people in the faith when you believed in it?
Yes. To a fault.
So you think that trust was incredibly misplaced?
Oh, yes. I barely knew these people. my family barely knew all of these people. These are all different people with their own different family issues. Yes.